And we're back on the Burning Couch podcast. Our next guest is West Virginia family. I would say West Virginia royalty. Steve, I want you to introduce this man to us. By the way, he called you a kid earlier, and I'm like, Blaine Stewart is a man now. Now. Treat him like one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this kid, I'm still going to remember him running around the football field. But special guest, guy that I watched grow up around West Virginia football, and happy to have on, Mr. Blaine Stewart.
What's up, fellas? I appreciate you, man. Thank you, Steve.
Oh, man. Oh, no.
So, Blaine, I have to ask the most important question first. Please tell me some good Steve Slaton stories. Anything you got, any dirt, anything I can use against him, or just in general, anything you remember from Steve playing and you being around?
Nothing really off the top of my head other than just like positive interactions. You know, when I would hang out with Steve, when Steve played at West Virginia, I was in 5th through 7th grade. So, you know, I was young, man. I just wanted to spend as much time as I could around those guys. And, you know, my dad was a quarterback coach, so I spent a lot of time with Pat. But Pat and Steve were so tight, I was spending a lot of time with Steve too. So, I don't know why. I always remember Steve put me in a headlock once in the weight room before a game. And I can't remember why. I was probably just trying to chirp at him a little bit or something. But he put me in a headlock, and I shut my mouth real quick. But those are the type of just informal stories I remember, and just spending time with Steve and all the guys, treating me like their little brother, which I still appreciate to this day.
I bet every kid at school was so jealous of you.
Oh, yeah. No, I was very fortunate for my childhood. You know, I was probably numb to a lot of things because I took some stuff for granted. But, like, the relationship I had with these guys, like, they were just like family. And, you know, I was very fortunate and am fortunate to be able to call people like Steve and so many other players truly family.
That's great to hear, man. I definitely was giving a little brother vibe, but, you know, Blaine always had the VIP treatment in my eyes.
No doubt. No doubt. I still got gloves and wristbands and towels from Steve somewhere in the garage, so I got to go find those, pull those out. Sell them on eBay or something.
Shoot, let me get a
cut. Let's just talk about, you know, coming from the Steelers and coming back to West Virginia. How good does it feel?
Oh, man, it's unbelievable for so many reasons. Obviously, just Western University as a whole has been really cool to be back, being back in my hometown, seeing people in town, spending so much time with my mom, who's in town as well still. So that's been like the biggest blessing. I'm never going to take for granted the amount of time I've got to spend with my mom since I've been back in January. It's been truly a blessing because I've been gone since really my freshman year of college, long term. So, I mean, it's been 10 years since I've lived in Morgantown full time, and still got a ton of family in West Virginia, a ton of friends, you know, just people in the community that I'm really close with. So that's been huge. And then just to be back at a place that I care about so much, you know, people were happy for me that I came back. You know, we're just trying to make them proud and do things right, and, you know, see what happens on the field. But it's off the field. It's just been such a blessing for me personally.
It's got to be a blessing to come back, and I think you're very fortunate to come back to West Virginia and play a prominent role in helping these guys, because you know what it is to bleed the blue and gold. You know what it means to even be from West Virginia and to have these guys, these young kids now. What is it like coaching them?
You know, it's awesome. I mean, football is football, so like the X's and O's at any level are, you know, pretty standard, but the biggest thing is just the positive juice that these guys bring on a daily basis. You know, it's they're 18 to 22, some 23-year-olds. So, I mean, it's awesome just to feel like the energy that these guys have and the eagerness at which they do everything in their life. You know, training table, just like it was back when you were here, Steve. Like, training table's always jumping. Training room's always jumping. Weight room's going on. I mean, it's just there's so much positive energy, and I think that's just a catalyst of the program in like college football that's really cool and unique. One thing that's different about the NFL compared to college, like college dudes love spending time in the building. Like guys are always hanging out here, which is super cool. Like obviously when you're dealing with professional athletes, they have families and stuff, and you know that, Steve, and guys want to get out and see their loved ones. But college, man, guys are just hanging out. You know, the players' lounge is always something's going on. People cutting hair, playing ping pong, doing whatever. So that's been super cool. And the young dudes, man, they're just eager to try to do well in all phases, which is cool. Like guys want to be great football players. They want to be, you know, good dudes. They want to be good teammates. So it's been awesome just to try to be a a small piece in a big puzzle that is college football. I mean, we got a ton of staff and things going on. So it's been awesome just to kind of try to be a part of it. But yeah, man, just the energy that you feel in a college building is unique, and it's been a positive, element to me being here that I didn't know that it was going to be like this every day.
And as a fan, it's a palpable feeling that there's something special about this team. They get along. There's just the camaraderie between the quarterbacks and everything. So talk to me about this year's team. And was that preseason ranking of last in the Big 12 a motivator as much as we think it might be?
Yeah, before I touch on the team, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, when you see something like that, you're like, dang, man, like, West Virginia's West Virginia. Like, yeah. I mean, we've had a great history here. And, I know there's been some roller coasters the last couple of years, but we got a talented roster. Just in terms of the team, like I said, these guys get along. These guys enjoy spending time with each other. One thing I've noticed is the message from the top down, Coach Brown all the way through has been, consistent since I got here. Trying to be a tough team, trying to be a disciplined team, trying to be a team that strains harder than you, try to be a team that plays with better football IQ than you, like stuff that's built West Virginia long before even my dad got here in 2000, like things Coach Nealon had in place. Like, man, when you come to play West Virginia, you want to bring your lunch pail because it's going to be one of those type of games. Like, you remember that, Steve. Like, it was hard-nosed. And our defense is playing well. We're trying to run the ball. We're taking our shots when we can on offense in the pass game. So, we're just trying to emulate kind of the state and take pride in that and be almost a blue-collar outfit and really just try to, play to our strengths. And that is toughness and strain and, just being a team that's willing to go 60 minutes versus whoever and then just see what happens. Because, we've been overlooked a long time. Shoot, Steve, your freshman year, I don't even remember when we were picked in the Big East. But it sure as heck wasn't 11-1 Sugar Bowl champs. So, we got a lot of football left in front of us. But I just think we have the capability to, if we go week by week, take advantage of the opportunities and just give ourselves a chance to win games. And then, certain things start to snowball. And then you look up in November, you're like, damn, we got a shot at this thing. So that's all we're trying to do. We're trying to be relevant. That's all we're trying to be is relevant. And, the first step in true relevance is going on the road and getting a big win this week down in Texas.
Yeah, it's definitely great to hear because I don't think there's a lot of college places, towns, cities that are like Morgantown to where there's really an embrace and feel into where you're talking about Neal Brown buying in and being the coach, the father of the team, and having these guys ready to play and play hard-nosed. That's all you can ask. That's what West Virginia embodies.
Yes, sir. Yep. And we're really trying to take that and run with it.
And listen, I mean, Steve and I have always, been trying, trust the client. We really like Neal. And one of the main reasons is that Neal, unlike Dana, has been very welcoming to past players and, just a lot of things about Neal Brown. What do the players love about him? Because I feel like they're playing for him this season.
I think starting with just, what Coach Brown means to each individual player is this is 100% his roster and his staff's roster. I mean, all these guys were brought here by Coach Brown. So whether it's a high school signee, a JUCO transfer, a new transfer portal guy, all these guys were handpicked by Coach Brown and company. So, there's an immediate, I guess, respect level there and a gratitude for the opportunity to be at a place like West Virginia. And, Coach Brown has been hard on these guys, which is necessary. Trust me, it's very necessary. But we had a hard training camp. We had a tough training camp. And, he's been consistent in his messaging. So guys are getting the same coach in person every day, which you can, if you're the same dude every day, I think everyone can accept that to who they're going to be. So I just think, the guys are really seeing in the results have kind of spoken for themselves early in the year that, like, if we buy into this and be who we say we want to be, we have a chance. And that, like I said a couple minutes ago, it all starts with Coach Brown and his vision for the program and everything he's done to build a foundation, a strong foundation for a program, like you said, more than just football. Former players, resources here, like this building's incredible, and it's all been remodeled since Coach Brown took over. So like he's trying to implement every possible phase to make these guys successful. And I think they feel that in the results, are hopefully speaking for themselves.
Yeah, I'll definitely say from watching from past and even now that there's a different brand of football that's being played, and the wins are piling up, and I think that's hey, hopefully there's more to come.
Yes, sir. We hope so.
I mean, everything you're saying kind of reminds me of a coach that every player loved and respected, your dad. You know, everybody asks, like, what's the best advice your dad gave you? I want to know what's the best and what's the worst advice your dad gave you.
Ooh, that's a good one. I've never been asked that question before.
Because they're not all winners. Come on, let's say, you know.
No. I've definitely just, you know, as I've grown, you know, I wish he was here to ask him so many questions. Obviously, like certain things, football, non-football, you know, just life. But, you know, there's always things that cross my mind, like, damn, like I wonder what my dad would tell me in this situation as a young coach, as his son, whatever, in my personal life, whatever. But, you know, I never really think of the best advice when asked that question. I just think of like how he kind of like moved through his own life, how he went on his daily walk, like the way he talked to people, the way he never seemed too big to stop and say hello to someone at a W basketball game or at one of my sporting events. Like I remember him always taking pictures when we would go play high school sports on the road. Like, did he want to do that? No, but he always took the time to treat people with respect and knowing the custodial staff's names and the way he treated Miss Lori here in the football building. Like, I think rather than advice, I just try to absorb all those memories I have of like how he kind of went about his daily walk, how he, you know, would spend time in his barbershop. Like he would go, I guess my dad was kind of cheap back in the, just a cheap ass, I guess is the best way to put it. He would go get coffee at his barbershop and like literally just go BS with his buddy, John Cavalier. Like he didn't have to do that. Like he could have got coffee at the office. He could have got coffee at home at the gas station. But no, he made a point in the mornings after he dropped me off to school, swing by one of his best friends in town's barbershop, get a cup of coffee. Like just things like that. And that just stuck with me on just like, you know, how to treat people. Like I really try to emulate that. Like, you know, I doubt I'll ever be as good as my dad at remembering names and wives' names and kids' names and stuff. Like he had an unbelievable talent. But you know, I just think the things I think back on with my dad are just how he treated people and what people tell me when they bring him up, former players, coaches that work with them, people in passing. Like that's been a really cool thing too since I've been back at West Virginia. There's some people that are still have carryover. There was a security person who wears the yellow shirts on game day.
Okay.
She was working fan day. And now, Steve, fan day's in like the stadium now, up in the concourse.
Okay.
It's not in the indoor anymore. So it's kind of like a conveyor belt of people up there. And man, this lady started crying on fan day. Because I mean, I'm getting like emotional about it now. She started crying and she was like, I couldn't wait to see you the first time you were back because just like how your dad was just a positive person in my life. Like he was the head coach and she was a security person and they had just a cordial, how you doing in the hallway type of thing. And like, she was tearing up telling me that a month ago at fan day. So like things like that are just like the unbelievably special memories that I have. And I don't care who tells me what, like if there's a story about my dad, I love hearing it, but, damn, worst advice he ever gave me. No, I don't know. I mean, in a serious note, you know, he bit his tongue a little bit, especially towards the end of his tenure here. Like, you know, you got to do what you got to do. But, you know, I don't know if I'm ever put in a situation like that. Maybe I'll think back on my dad and, you know, he did it for my mom and I to where like certain things went down, whatever. And he had to kind of, you know, let people drag his name through the mud in certain situations. And maybe if my life dictates that I have to do that too, you know, that's what I got to do for my family. But, you know, I wish he would have had the opportunity to defend himself in certain situations. And it's funny. He always used to give me a hard time, you know, whether it be getting stronger in the weight room or like what girls I was trying to take out when I was in like high school and stuff. Like there's probably some bad advice there at some point, but you know, I try to think of even the bad advice. And you know, some things like Steve, he was hard on y'all, man. Like on some old school stuff, like the the wrong arm sleeve or the wrong socks or the wrong I don't know. I learned from Coach T, like, keep the main thing the main thing. You know what I mean? Like, some things aren't worth fighting. And it's funny to kind of see just the different styles of coaches. And I know my dad was a hard ass. I'm sure he was. I'm sure you got some stories on that, Steve, to where, you know, he caught someone slipping a time or two. They weren't going to forget it.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, my dad's 88. He's actually here visiting in California, and he's listening in the background, so I wanted to hear this. But that's what builds that work ethic. You know, you're not happy with them at the time. They're making you get up and work and do things. Oh, yeah. But then later in life, you look back and go, thank God. Because you see how many people you're around that have zero work ethic and have no idea that, you know, what hard work is. And I think that's something that's, you know, just having been friends with Pat and Steve for the last 13, 14 years, it's something I just, you know, they always, I mean, your dad's name never comes up that they don't like light up. Yeah. You know, he brought something super special to these guys, and I'll let Steve, you know, speak to that. But just being from the outside looking in, I've never seen any players talk about a coach the way former WVU players talk about your dad.
No, your dad was definitely special to me. It was somebody I talked to every practice. He made it his thing to talk to me. Before we went to practice, I talked to him. But it was one of those things to where you know where you're going to stand. You know what he's going to stand on. And he's not going to lie to you. So somebody might want to sugarcoat something, but he's always kept it straight. So it was definitely something I always enjoyed talking to your dad. Even next week, we're trying to have Vaughn on. And I know how your dad felt about Vaughn and how Vaughn feels about your dad. So he had to be on them knuckleheads. He had to be on them knuckleheads.
Oh, yeah. They had a special relationship. But, man, when Vaughn took that pump back, shoot down to whatever, the 10-yard line against Oklahoma. Well, no, that was to the we'll talk the Fiesta Bowl. Yeah. I got the picture of them hugging in the Fiesta Bowl after that punt return, and it's just like, man, I truly believe Vaughn Rivers like would have ran through a wall for my dad, and it's just like you said, it's just the relationship they had, and I bet it wasn't always a paved road either. Like they probably butted heads more than I even saw, like as a young guy. Yeah. But it's definitely a model that you know I hope someday that if I'm ever in a position like that, or right now with my guys, my first position group that I have now, like, you know, they would try to run through a wall for me like that someday too. That's the goal every coach should have.
Yep.
Speaking of which, do you see yourself one day in that head coaching position at West Virginia University?
I can't ever speculate into that.
I will. Yes, Blaine Stewart will be the head coach at WVU.
It would be an unbelievable opportunity. I hope I'm fortunate enough to be a head coach anywhere someday. I mean, that is a goal of mine, whether it's major Power 5 football, NFL someday, wherever. I hope I'm blessed with that opportunity. But, you know, I'm excited to be in my sixth season of college football, or sixth season of football coaching, and see the things I've seen. And, you know, hopefully just try to take good, bad lessons, you know, things that have happened that I could apply to myself and try to mold into my own vision someday. And I do want to be a head coach someday. It's just a matter of when and where. And, you know, hopefully I'm ready hopefully I get an opportunity if I'm blessed enough to do so.
2030.
It's in your future.
Announcement will be made. Blaine Stewart, head coach, West Virginia University. Write it down.
We'll see. But it'd be cool. But Steve Slaton, man, he'd have to pony up for that NIL, man. We need to stay competitive, baby.
Oh man, it's damn sure. I wish we had him back when I was there.
Oh, hey, can you imagine how much money Scott White and Steve Slaton would have made at NIL?
I try not to because they get upset.
Dude, you're 20 years too late, man, or too early, man. Yeah. Like it is unbelievable to think after 05 and 06 for sure, the amount of money y'all two would have made in 07. That would have been unbelievable.
Video game alone.
I might have stayed.
No doubt. Hey, that was not in your best interest when you getting a third round draft pick in 08, man. You had to go do that thing. Yeah. I still got your fat head on the wall. Don't worry.
It's funny. When I started teaching at college about 13 years ago, I would tell students that I did a show with Pat White and Steve Slaton. They're like, "Oh, from the game." They all played as them on the game.
That's
video
real.
Game.
Yeah.
That's real.
Somebody just sent me a game. Somebody was playing a game the other day, and I was like, "Jesus, really? You still have it? Still works?"
I know. I can't believe it, but it was the literal cheat code.
I played Pat a few times.
From Jam Street Media.